learners and parents. Welcome to tonight's webinar on Grade 9 Subject Choices. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angelique Jaya, and I'm an advisor at the Center for Student Recruitment and Career Advice. With me is my wonderful colleague Norma Muller, who is a counseling psychologist. And our goal this evening is to share some important information with you about how subject choices are associated with various career fields and faculties at Stellenbosch University. But before we get into it, just a quick note that all the information that we're about to share with you is applicable only to learners who follow an NSC or IEB curriculum. For those of you who follow an international curriculum, we'll be sharing a guidelines document after the session with some contact details for further assistance. All right, so just a quick note also on Stellenbosch University. We know that you are currently in grade 9, but once you reach grade 12 and you become a prospective student, you will then seek an opportunity at university. And at that point, you may decide to join our student community, of which we have 32,000 students. And we accept about 5,500 first years every year. We have more than 70 programs for you to choose from. And when you enroll, you will enroll for an undergraduate degree. If you wish to specialize beyond this, you will continue with an honors degree, thereafter a master's degree or a doctorate degree. All right, so let's get into some more information about how to choose your subjects. Okay, we know that choosing your subjects in grade 9 is a very important decision, but it can also be a very exciting one that will shape your future. But there are a few reasons why you should think very carefully before you make this decision. And reason being, the subjects you choose will remain the same from grade 10 to grade 12. The subjects you choose may also determine whether or not you are eligible to apply for certain programs or courses at university. So while you're thinking about choosing subjects, keep in mind 3 things: your personality, your interests, and also your ability. Keep in mind your marks when you're thinking about your abilities. So at school, you will undergo a process whereby you will typically choose between either mathematics or mathematical literacy. You will also take life orientation along with 2 additional languages and 3 other subjects depending on what is offered at your school. Now remember that as you transition from grade 9 to grade 10, your workload will increase. So it is very important that you choose subjects that is best suited for you, and not choose subjects because your friends are choosing these subjects or because of the teacher who will be addressing it. Choose subjects that will be best suited for you, your passions, your interests, and your future. All right, now I want you to consider essentially 3 career fields that will help you guide your decision. We have the natural sciences, the social sciences, and the business and commerce field. If we take a closer look at the natural science field, you'll see that at university we have 4 different faculties that relate to the natural science field. Now, up until now, you know natural science to be one of your school subjects, and as from next year, this becomes physical science and life science. And subjects like physical science and life science can give you access to these fields: agricultural science, health science, engineering, and science. In agricultural science, you will find a range of interesting and fascinating careers for you to choose from. Now, I'm sure that when you think about agriculture, immediately a picture of a farmer might come to mind. But I want to assure you that in this field, at university, we train scientists. Scientists who may work alongside farmers, but there are a wealth of other careers that you can pursue too. You might decide to become a food scientist, or a wood scientist, or an animal scientist, or a winemaker. One of our students, he went on to specialize in soil science, and now he is a drone specialist. They make use of the drones to take pictures of farmlands, and these pictures are used to detect where trees are either sick, or whether fertilizers are working, or whether the trees are infected. Now, people in agri-science have a love for the environment, and they want to understand the science behind plants, soil, and animals. If this is something that piques your interest, make sure that you choose mathematics and physical science as a subject. In health science, you could study to become a doctor or a nurse or a dietitian, but essentially in this field, careers relate to how to heal the human body and the human mind. So, subjects that are compulsory for this field includes mathematics, physical science, and or life science. This will depend on the specific program that you're looking to enroll for. One of our researchers at the university in the psychiatry department, he started using virtual reality headsets to help treat patients to overcome various neurotic disorders and fears of heights, fears of spiders, and fear of darkness. So, what about engineering? There are different types of engineers. Some are civil engineers, others are mechatronic or industrial engineers. But engineers help us to understand how things work, how to build things up and tear it apart again. And they also help us to understand how to build bridges and robots or trucks or manufacture petrol and clean water and energy. If this is something that you'd be interested in, key subjects for you to choose will be mathematics and physical science. In the science field, you might decide to become an expert in physics, biology, or chemistry. You could study to become a computer scientist, a sports scientist, or a chemist, and so much more. Key subjects, once again, will be mathematics and physical science. I'm sure you can see a trend here that all the science-related fields requires mathematics and physical science. So for those of you who attend a technical high school, please keep in mind that if you are going to take technical mathematics along with physical science, these subjects will not make you eligible to apply for any of the science-related programs or fields that we've just discussed. It is vital that you have normal mathematics with physical science. Okay, great. Now we're moving away from the science field and towards the social sciences, where you will find humanities, arts and culture, education, and law. In the humanities, you can study to become a psychologist or a social worker or a journalist. And this field is really for those of you who have a love for languages and you also want to understand how to study people, societies, cultures, and languages. So the key subjects in this field will be either mathematics or mathematical literacy, and this will really depend on the specific course that you're looking to apply for. But then there are also other subjects that are not compulsory but are beneficial. These subjects would include additional languages, subjects like history, geography, and religious studies. But then in the arts and culture field, now this field is for those of you who have a creative spirit. Perhaps you'd like to become an actor or an a musician or graphic designer. And key subjects, again, would be either maths or mathematical literacy, and recommended subjects include visual arts, design, drama, and music. For those of you who would like to become teachers one day, you would then choose to apply for a program in education. And you'll see here that key subjects, again, is mathematics or mathematical literacy, and this will depend on what kind of subjects you are hoping to teach. So if, for example, you wanted to teach physical science, of course, then you would have to choose mathematics as a subject so that you are in a position to become a physical science teacher. But other teaching or other recommended subjects to choose would be teaching modules like life science, history, or geography. And then for those of you who'd like to become a lawyer or an advocate or a judge, you would apply for law programs whereby you would need either mathematics or mathematical literacy. Mathematics is required for students who would like to go into a BCom law or business law field. Okay, so this is the very last career field, the business and commerce field. Now, up until now, you may have had economic and management science as a subject, and if that is something that you love, perhaps this field will be for you. This is also for those of you who love to crunch numbers. Perhaps you'd like to study to become an accountant or a financial manager or financial analyst. Make sure that you choose mathematics as a subject, and other recommended or beneficial subjects would be accounting, economics, and business studies. All right, so that concludes all the career fields. And now I want to give you some very quick and easy subject choice tips. If you already have your career goals in mind, perhaps you're thinking about becoming an engineer or teacher one day, you can choose subjects that are aligned to your career goals. If engineering is the goal, make sure that you have mathematics and physical science as a subject. But what if you have no idea what it is that you'd like to study one day? You could consider choosing a combination of different types of subjects. For example, you could choose one science subject together with a business subject, like physical science with business studies. But also keep in mind the combination or your subject combination. If you're hoping to enter the science field, you will not be able to do that if you have mathematical literacy combined with life science, for example. For the science field, you must have physical science and mathematics. And lastly, and probably most importantly, choose subjects that you enjoy. Right now, you are in grade 9, and at the Center for Student Recruitment and Career Advice, we want to journey with you up until you become a prospective student and you join the Mati community and graduate. So if you are interested in getting in touch with us after today's session, you can contact us via email on csr@sun.ac.za. You could also give us a call on 021 808 4709. And we also have subject choice assessments, but we'll tell you a little bit more about that service a bit later. But for now, we want to share a quick video with you that shows you what Stellenbosch University looks like. So for those of you who have no idea what it looks like, you haven't been here before, this video is for you, so enjoy. We hope you enjoyed that video. Next, we're going to discuss some frequently asked questions, and Norma will be assisting us with those answers. And after the session, we will be sharing an FAQ document which will summarize all the questions and answers we'll discuss here. All right, Norma. So first up, with regards to the context of university preparation, what is most important for grade nines to keep in mind right now?
By the end of your grade 10, 11, 12 course, if you want to be able to apply to go to university, you need to have a bachelor's pass. All subjects, any combination of subjects can meet the requirements for a bachelor's pass, because it means you must obtain 40% for your home language, 50% in 4 other subjects, and 30% in the 2 remaining subjects. So that's irrespective of which subjects, those are the requirements. The minimum, though, a bachelor's pass is usually not sufficient. Universities like Stellenbosch set a minimum requirement, usually described with faculty. It entails an aggregate that you need to meet, and then certain subject requirements depending on the faculty. So it's important to know that as you journey through grade 10, 11, 12, that you keep a tab on these things and look at various universities, because what Stellenbosch requires isn't necessarily the same as what other universities will require. And in addition to that, it's also important to remember that the current requirements that are stipulated are applicable for current grade 12s, because they will be first years next year. And you need to be able to monitor the requirements from year to year, because adjustments are made and you need to keep yourself informed as you go along.
Yes, so definitely have to keep up with the research. All right, Norma, and what about the aggregate? How important is it for learners to keep in mind the aggregate or average?
Okay. I think aggregate is something that people often overlook or don't consider, because we often think there are certain subjects where we sometimes refer to them as gateway subjects, because they open doors to particular programs, and we're all very aware of these requirements, and then we do forget quite often that your aggregate is extremely important. So the whole, the composition of your subject choice, all the subjects are important. You need to apply yourself even to the subjects that perhaps aren't your favorites, because they make a huge impact on your aggregate. And for university admission purposes at Stellenbosch, your aggregate is determined by considering your 6 subjects excluding life orientation. So it is a really important thing to keep in mind.
Okay, so next we're going to tackle the big elephant in the room. I'm sure all our learners and parents are itching to find out more about the big question, which is whether or not I should choose mathematics or mathematical literacy. How should they go about making this decision?
Yeah, I think it is everybody's big concern, and I do think my initial feeling is that it's an extremely important thing to decide for yourself, to make sure that whatever is right for you isn't necessarily the same as what everybody else is doing. Having said that, mathematics is important. You've heard already in Angelique's presentation, there are many programs where it is required. I think we need to remember that to take mathematics is one thing, but to be able to achieve a mark that will give you admission to a program is a different question altogether. It does not serve you to take maths, at least at university level, and to just pass it. You need a minimum of 60% to get into most programs, and in fact, it's quite often higher than that. So that is a reality, which means that when you're in grade 9, you need to do your best to make sure you are achieving your best possible mark for maths. If you're underachieving, it's really difficult to advise you, because this, it's almost as if whatever happens in grade 9 might be a prediction of likely outcome in grade 10, 11, and 12. So to simplify this, it's important to have maths if you need it. And if you can find out whether you need it, it means you need to understand your interests and probably have a little bit of an idea of where you might be heading. That's one aspect. The other aspect is the realistic approach of understanding that you need to be able to achieve a certain mark to be able to continue in grade 10.
Okay, and then we have some learners out there who I'm sure is really keen to do mathematics, physical science, and life science. So this for this combination of subjects, what kind of doors of opportunity would be available to them?
I think, and once again, it was quite evident from your presentation. So to just reiterate, if you are going to continue into a tertiary program at university in health sciences, you need to achieve well for most programs in the health sciences faculty in maths, physical science, and life science. For most other science programs in the other faculties, even though it may be a focus on biological or life sciences, you actually need maths and physical science. So a lot of people are under the impression that you can qualify for a program in biological sciences if you take mathematics and life science. That is actually not correct. Physical science is important. And then if you enter into commerce, economic and management sciences, you need to get a good mark for mathematics, and then obviously sciences are not relevant. So there are many courses which require these subjects, and I think it's also important then to just say, as you would have seen in the slideshow as well, there are programs where these subjects are not required. So we need to have a healthy balance, and we need to be realistic, I think, in terms of your own profile, to know what will suit you best.
Okay, and for learners who are at the end of this year, still unsure about whether or not they should take mathematics and physical science, what kind of advice would you have for them?
Right. I think again, if you start off by considering what your achievements in those subjects are like this year, we generally say that if you're able to obtain 65% in mathematics and in physical science in grade 9, then that's a good indication that you'll be able to maintain that achievement or similar achievement in grade 10, 11, and 12. And that would be a solid base from which to decide to continue with mathematics and physical science if you are unsure, because in that instance, you are able to keep doors open until you have a final decision made. But again, just to make this clear, if you're struggling to pass mathematics and physical science in grade 9, then it's not going to make sense to follow that advice.
All right, now another big concern that learners often have is this question of, am I choosing the right career path, or how do I know I'm choosing the right subjects for me?
Okay, so I suppose this isn't an exact science, and we all have to probably do our best and make an informed decision. And in this respect, I think it's quite important that we remember that the context that we're in and in which you'll be developing your career is the fourth industrial revolution. And in terms of 4IR thinking, probably one of the things that might even be considered by many people who write about 4IR and career success, that they at least may consider more important than even your interests, is your ability to manage change. And that's a significant skill in success. So in a lifetime, a career lifetime, and it will be even more so in your career lifetime, it's not unusual to perhaps have 8 or 10 different careers. Never mind just jobs, but actual career changes. And that is part of the current paradigm. And so we need to be aware that to start somewhere is just to launch your career. It isn't a life sentence. And even in launching yourself with a certain set of subjects in grade 10, if you have done your best and you've made an informed choice, and at some point you then need to change direction, it should actually be quite possible if you also consider that it's a typical thing that will happen in the span of a 4IR career. So other things that become important will be, how do you network with your contemporaries? And this isn't a selfish thing. It means that you put yourself in a place where you create opportunities for other people and they create opportunities for you. And in the same respect, I think we need to move away from a fear-based way of considering career choice, which says, who will give me a job, or where will I find work? And change our thinking to, how will I create an opportunity? That's far more empowering and is far more contextually relevant.
Wow, thanks, Mama. That was incredibly valuable. Just to emphasize the importance of being flexible and being adaptable, especially in the world that we live in today. All right, so we want to just move quickly into more subject-specific questions. And the first one is around CAT, or Computer Applications Technology. How does this contribute, or does it count towards university admission?
Yes, it does. It is as valid as any other subject in terms of the considerations for a bachelor's pass. So it is very much so, yes.
And for learners who would like to become a chartered accountant one day, do they have to take accounting as a subject?
I think it's an interesting thing that you probably would choose to take accounting if you're really interested in it. But if for whatever reason you don't take accounting, it definitely is not an essential requirement. You can do a BAc degree with a good pass for mathematics. And having said that, it's likely that if you do have accounting at school, it might facilitate the first semester in your first year in terms of your progress in accounting, but it won't be a limiting factor relative to other people after that.
And is it compulsory for learners to take history if the end goal is to study law?
No, not at all. I think there is a correlation. It seems that a lot of people who enjoy history end up enjoying law as well. It's more important to consider languages as well. Language requirements in terms of marks you get for your languages are important in wanting to be admitted to a law program. And obviously, if you're going to do a commerce degree with law subjects, then you need to have mathematics.
And for students who are currently enrolled in a law program, is there a difference in the way that they perform in terms of those who had mathematical literacy in school versus those who had normal mathematics?
Apparently, there are statistics to suggest that people who do have or did take mathematics are able to achieve and progress very well in law. But having said that, there's a dilemma in that if you were to then decide to take maths at all costs, because this fact that I've just mentioned is impacting on you in a way that you feel you must have maths, and yet you struggle to get a good mark, or you are in a position where your maths mark actually then is debilitating because it brings your aggregate down, then that wouldn't be a good choice. To get into a BA in law, you need a good aggregate, and you do not necessarily have to have mathematics. So sometimes it's better to have maths lit, so that you can get a good maths lit mark, and then have an aggregate that offers you an opportunity to get into a program. That's a better place to be in for some individuals.
And for students or for learners who'd like to pursue a program in computer sciences, would it be compulsory for them to take information technology or IT as a subject?
It is not compulsory. In fact, there are quite a few schools that don't offer IT as a subject, just on a practical level. And the consideration again for a computer science program, if you take a commerce degree, a BCom, then you need to have a good maths pass. And if it is a science degree, a BSc in computer science, then there is a requirement for maths as well as physical science. It does probably, if it's your thing, if the field that you're interested in is IT, it would make sense if you have the opportunity to take the subject, because it just offers you exposure so that you become familiar with the field.
Okay. So this is our last subject-related question, which is one that we get quite frequently. And it's about students who want to pursue a BCom degree or Bachelor of Commerce degree. Can they do this with mathematical literacy?
Not at a university like Stellenbosch. You need to have mathematics, and you must have a minimum mark of 60% for mathematics. So if you're able to obtain that, then and you want to do commerce, that is what you should aim to get. But you definitely cannot take a commerce degree if you have maths lit.
Now we just want to focus a little bit more on the programs that are offered at Stellenbosch University. Can you tell us more about the unique programs that we offer?
There are a few that are actually quite interesting as well, and one being viticulture and enology. So if you wanted to be a winemaker, that would be where you might head. There's a degree in the science faculty, a focus on polymer sciences, and in the commerce faculty, the BAc LLB, which is a combination of an accounting and law program. That is a uniquely Stellenbosch degree. The Commerce faculty also offers a BCom in International Business, which is a 4-year degree, and it offers a combination of subjects in social sciences and commerce, and an opportunity in your 3rd year to do a 6-month compulsory exchange with an international university, which is a very sought after opportunity because there are not many undergraduate programs that offer those types of opportunities. And then the other program that might be of interest to people is to be aware that Stellenbosch has a School of Data Sciences, which was really officially launched in 2021. And that offers 8 different programs, undergraduate programs, which are spread across 4 different faculties. So that's really with many opportunities relating to careers of the future can stem from those programs. And then the final one is the forestry program. Sorry, yeah, the forestry program in the Agri-Sciences faculty.
All right. Okay, Nova, lastly, what about some of the programs that we don't offer at Stellenbosch?
So there again are a few distinct because universities usually certain specialized areas are focused at particular universities, and in this respect, Stellenbosch doesn't offer architecture, and we do not offer dentistry. There is not a dedicated undergraduate program in marine sciences, and we do not offer veterinary science and also no hospitality studies. I think there's one thing I omitted earlier, and that is just to say on the note of what is unique to Stellenbosch. If you apply to do engineering, you apply for a particular discipline up front, but when you do your first year, everyone does the same year, which has the advantage of giving you the opportunity, if you're a strong candidate, if you prove yourself and there's a position or a place available, to change your course. In other words, to become aware perhaps that you have a preference for a different discipline and then to transfer to that program from the second year.
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, so if learners are still very confused and need some more guidance, what should they do?
Then we offer an opportunity that I think is really a worthwhile consideration. At our Centre for Student Recruitment and Career Planning, we offer an opportunity for grade 9s to do a career assessment. A full assessment is a process which entails a psychometric assessment. We look at interests, we look at aptitudes, we consider your personality profile, followed by a discussion feedback session where we actually help you to do very preliminary career planning, because obviously if you're in grade 9 that shouldn't be very exact. But we need to consider career options so that we can align your subjects and help you then to plan accordingly. We give you advice and help you to be aware of what your journey in grade 10, 11 and 12 should be in terms of things like understanding 4IR and looking at job shadowing. So we motivate you to be able to really take ownership of your career journey, even though you are only entering into grade 10, because this is a preparation phase for a career. We offer this as a in-person, face-to-face opportunity where you can make an appointment and come to our offices at 45 Victoria Street in Stellenbosch. We also do the same process online, and there's no difference between an online or an in-person assessment. It's the same process and equally valid. We offer the service every weekday, as well as in school holidays, obviously also weekdays, and on Saturdays. So you have flexibility, you can contact us and make an appointment at a date and time that suits you. The fee at this stage, I'm pleased to be able to say, it's usually 2,350 on a weekday. And we've decided that because it's the season at the moment for subject choice, to offer this at a reduced fee of 1,900. And on a Saturday, it becomes 2,450 at the moment, also at a reduced rate. So we have already mentioned the contact details for appointments, and I think that will be available again a little later for this. So you're very welcome to make use of that.
Noma, thank you so much for answering all of those questions. I'm sure the information that you provided was very helpful to many of our learners. And thank you for joining us, for connecting with us this evening. We will be sharing the International Curriculum Guidelines document with you, along with the FAQs and our contact details. And we are looking forward to connecting with you, to journeying with you. So please, if any of your specific questions was not answered, feel free to get in touch with us. And now we're going to share or end off with a video that will give you a taster of what it's like to be a Mati. Enjoy.